Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. God, I picked up this lovely hat in the past, one of the University of East Anglia. There was a company I worked for that obviously I mentioned in the past. They were basically leading me up to a constructive dismissal, and they were basically housing one very unpleasant individual who basically said, and I quote, "You're a bit like Thrush," and then followed that up with, "Yeah, because you're an irritating," end quote. But way before that time, I did actually have a good time doing some cleaning up there. It was good pay, actually, for what it was, even if I was only there for a week. But of course, you didn't come here to find out that I'm doing somebody's dirty work. No, I want to talk about something very quickly about Tommy Robinson. But this isn't so much about explaining what we already know. This is about my petition that I've just started. If anybody's seen the post I've put on YouTube, you'll know about it. But those who don't know about it, I will be linking it in the description below. Obviously, if change.org try to suppress this, then it'll become more and more apparent that this is a politically motivated imprisonment, and they're trying to do everything they can to stop this going mainstream. Because here's the thing, whether or not you like Tommy Robinson, and I've already had one NPC come up onto Twitter and basically say, no, he deserves to be put in there for life. Yeah, I know, some of these people are just, they've got less brains than a bloody slug, quite frankly. But there's already one NPC who's saying he should be jailed for life, bearing in mind this is a civil offence, not a criminal one. So clearly this person has no standards of who should get life. But Tommy Robinson is the only journalist in British history who has been to jail for contempt of court. No other journalist has spent time at His Majesty's behest. There are people that have served time who weren't journalists, but no other person who is a journalist has been sent to prison for contempt of court, which, as said, is a civil offence. Lizzie dipshit didn't, sorry, just Lizzie didn't, or maybe I was right first time, was a person who broke, allegedly, the same reporting restrictions that Tommy Robinson did back in 2018 regarding a grooming gang in Leeds. But Tommy was sentenced to jail and spent, stroke number one, and spent 5 to 7 months in prison, Tommy that is, while Lizzie only got a £10,000 fine paid by her ex-company. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. And now once again what we're seeing is Tommy Robinson is spending 18 months in prison to serve half, which is 9, and he's already spent at least 3 months in solitary confinement. Well, at least to put it in a better light, at least Tommy Robinson is not suffering from Abatha strokes. But it doesn't change the fact that Tommy Robinson has been politically persecuted by the state. While we see people who are going around actually violating people, they're getting off with cautions. Yes, I am not making this shit up. We live in a 2-tier police state and a 2-tier justice state. And it is these reasons exactly, as well as the fact that Tommy's human rights under Article 3 are being violated, that I'm making this petition. Because to draw it back to the point I made a few minutes ago, whether or not you like Tommy Robinson, everyone should have equal human rights. Okay, almost everyone. Maybe not the P-files and the T-rists and what have you. But last time I checked, Tommy Robinson's worst crime, I believe, was that assault on the ex-copper. And that was God knows how long ago. So it is absolutely imperative that we get this petition of mine signed and hit the mainstream media with it. And I guess at this point, it's time for me to do some more homework. I already feel like I'm back at high school. Anyway, it's about time I probably started doing some homework at this point as far as the human rights laws are concerned. I would like to think that even if I was a leftoid, I'd at least be able to see that what's happening to Tommy Robinson is fundamentally wrong. But the leftoids are so quick to say that us far right are basically filled with hatred and are nothing but thugs who go around inciting violence and hatred. But the opposite is true. It's the left that are responsible for most of it. Do you see any far right going around, in some cases, at protests, wielding flares? Do you have people that go out of their way to wield themselves, stroke number 2, with knives and bats and the like? And do you see any far right going out of their way to attack pensioners? Like that one time where Antifa decided to take a crowbar to a pensioner. Now, that's not to say that the right aren't capable of doing that, but the thing is, when have you seen the right wing do this? Or at least, when recently have you seen them do this? Whereas with left wing, you could pull out so many fucking stories relating to it, quite frankly, that would plaster up the lefties like a kipper. And no, I'm not talking a UKIPper, because UKIP are actually a party that I think actually care for this country. At some point I will talk about what's been going on in Russia, because obviously Keir the traitor Starmer wants to put our troops over in Ukraine. I guess the short version of that is, no, do not fucking do that. We are not wanting a third world war, quite frankly. Fucking hell, the bus is here, run! Why am I having to do this shit? I'm built for comfort, not speed. Oh God, 100% panic. Indeed, say a single to St. Augustus, please. Oh, I'm getting old. Oh dear me, thank you. Oh Jesus. No, he can't help me, I'm too far gone. Anyway, what this effectively boils down to is it's a matter of right and wrong, not left or right. And the way I slice it, what's happening to Tommy Robinson is definitely wrong. I can't stress enough as well, if this was any other person being put through the ringer, as it were, there'd be human rights in the ECHR all over this in an instant. But because it's Tommy Robinson, you could hear a pin drop even if you were in a padded room. Who said I'm built like a bouncy castle? Shut up. Anyway, the bottom line is, Tommy should not be put through this. This is pure, unequivocal, mental, physical, and psychological torture, which if Marfleet is not willing to address, then she is effectively complicit. She is complicit in something that could be tantamount to war crimes. She doesn't have to follow the boss's orders. She doesn't have to follow Keir the traitor Starmer's orders as far as this is concerned. She could say, you know what, I may not like him, but you know what, he needs to be treated equally. He needs to be treated with the same human rights and respect as every other prisoner. But of course, she doesn't do that, because she lacks a pair of balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case, both. And as such, she is opening herself up at best to be sacked, and at worst to be criminally prosecuted. And I don't think prison officers are treated very kindly in their own damn prisons, especially ones that act like tyrants. At this point, we're just waiting for the go-ahead from Tommy Robinson's admin team to say, we're marching up to that prison in our tens, if not hundreds of thousands. Just make sure it's on a Saturday or a Sunday again, and make sure that we get that many people that we had back at the other rallies. We need to surround that prison in a ring of humans. We need to surround that prison, and if they won't let Tommy out, we mustn't let anything in or out. If they want to play the long game, if they want to play the dishonest game, we will expose them, just like that. Because what it boils down to is Tommy Robinson should be in an open prison with as many visits as he likes, and eating, not so much like a king, but at least a lot better than what shit they're putting him through now by trying to starve him. And they could be doing this either to push him to starve, faster, or, even more maliciously, they know full well that H&P Woodhill is a mostly Muslim-populated prison. Back in 2023, statistics showed at least 50 of the inmates, 38%, were practicing Muslims. That's something, of course, the mainstream media don't want to tell you. And that was back in 2023. Can you imagine how many more there might be in there now? Scary, isn't it? And of course, what do you think they're going to do to public enemy number one? I don't think it will be anything blatantly obvious as well of what they could potentially do to the food, because obviously then they'd get caught. But I don't think it's that hard to put ground up glass or some other unpleasant thing in Tommy's food. And the governor had the audacity to say, we can guarantee the food is safe. No, you can't. You cannot have guards watching over the Muslims 24/7. Or sorry, the practices of Islam, I should say, because not all Muslims are like this. But what I can say is that if you were to have loads of guards around those people, we all know that Islam would kick off. We all know that Islam would demand you to basically call off your attack dogs, as it were. When ironically, they are the ones that are the actual attack dogs, quite frankly. But they would do that because, let's face it, Islam in many prisons rule the prisons. Do you honestly think that those guards and Nicola Marfleet can, in good faith, 100% fail-safe that food? Do you honestly think they can protect it 100%? No, they can't. That's the short answer. But they'll keep making convoluted excuses as to why they think they can. Am I wrong? Nicola Marfleet could end this right now. She could end the political persecution of Tommy Robinson, because he should not be in jail for effectively producing a documentary and putting it out there when it was already out there in the fucking first place by the Americans. That's the thing you've got to remember. It's not a matter of, oh, Tommy was blatant and he put the film out there. No, the Americans put it out there first. Tommy just reposted it, that's all. And he did that way later down the line. So surely there could be a time bar case on this as well. There could be a time bar on it that basically says he can't be done for contempt of court, because effectively what he done was he reposted something months or years later. Begs the question, doesn't it, folks? But yeah, make sure you sign that petition. It will be linked in the description below. I cannot stress enough, we need to get this on the bloody mainstream. We have got to get a bloody jetpack behind that petition and have it soaring through the skies, quite frankly, because it needs to. It has to. Because every single day that Tommy Robinson is stuck in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day over the 15-day legal limit is risking his very sanity. Bearing in mind as well, Tommy is suffering from a form of PTSD, which the establishment and the prisons know about, and hell, even the medical teams in said prisons were saying, this is not good for you and your mental health will deteriorate, and yet they're doing this anyway. If Change decide to pull the petition, I will do everything I can to get it reinstated. I am not going to allow them to suppress this. Simple as that. They tried to do it with the Keir the Traitor Starmer petition I put out, and I suspect they'll try and do it here. But the thing is, I have truth on my side. I have facts on my side. And if I fuck up with the facts, I put my hands up and admit it. But I know full well that Tommy's human rights are being unequivocally violated in every capacity. Dignity, human rights, dignity, mentally, physically, psychologically. He is being broken. Think of a mortar and pestle trying to grind down herbs or leaves or chocolate or whatever, I could do with some. Anyway, think of that. That's what they're trying to do. They are going to grind him until he's nothing but dust. We must fight that. We must remind Nicola the monster Marfleet and Keir the traitor Starmer who they are meant to serve. And if nothing else, they need to be treating Tommy as equally as the other people. Because I'm pretty sure there are some people in those prisons, Muslim or no, that are being treated way better, with better food, TV, phones. Hell, they may even have games consoles for all I know. But they are getting treated far better than Tommy is. And therein, bear in mind, Category B prisons and Category A prisons are supposed to hold some of the worst offenders in our country. Tommy is a civil offender, not a criminal offender. Therefore, he shouldn't be in one of those prisons. It should be a Category C or D prison. That's what it boils down to. And if they are not willing to treat him with the dignity he deserves, then Nicola the monster Marfleet can't be surprised if we decide we won't treat her with that same dignity.